Hi everybody, it's Chrissy Mack again, and I'm coming at you with another ghost story. This one is actually a local ghost story here in my hometown, and I have heard it ever since I was a little kid. I have never had experience with it firsthand, but I thought it was interesting enough that over the years I've read about it, and again, I've heard about it countless times. I know my dad told me about it when I was little because we would drive past this house and he would tell me the story about it every time because he knew how much I liked ghost stories. Thomas Carithers house, also known as the Alpha Gamma house, and also known as the wedding cake house. And in some circles, I've even heard it called the birthday cake house. The reason it's been called the wedding cake house or the birthday cake house is because of its architecture. The way that the porch is built onto this house, it looks like tiers of a cake. It's actually a very beautiful home. And there's a couple of different stories about the haunting itself, but what we do know as absolute certain is what the historical records of it are. It was built in 1896 by Mr. William Thomas, but that was in 1896. In 1913 is when John Carithers, or James Carithers, is it John or James? I can't remember right now. Maybe it's because I'm smearing white stuff on my eye. Anyway, Mr. Carithers, we'll say, purchased the home, and it said that he purchased the home for his daughter, Susie, as an engagement present. So, here's the ghost story, and then I'll give you a little truth with it. So, first variation of ghost story is that the home was built for Isabel. She was getting married to a gentleman by the name of Richard. She got stood up at the altar. No happy endings. He didn't ever show. She was so heartbroken that she went into one of the rooms and killed herself. The other variation of the story is far more detailed. Susie Carithers was left at the altar as well, but she wasn't really left at the altar. She just thought she was. So she's ready to get married. Hours pass. Fiance doesn't show. She's so heartbroken and embarrassed that she goes into the attic and she hangs herself. And then tragically, right after the family finds her in the attic, her fiance shows up. There was a bridge washed out, which caused him to be a few hours late getting there for the wedding. So those are the two variations of the origin story of this thing, okay? Like of where the ghost comes from. I know it's not Susie Carithers because John or James, whatever his name was, like I said, my brain farted on his name. Mr. Carithers had no children. There was no Susie Carithers. So that tale, which is actually the more popular origin story, totally false. Not true. However, there was an Isabel Thomas. So that may very well be true. There's no record of her killing herself there, but there's also no record that I could find of how she died. So who knows? It's neither here nor there. However, that doesn't mean that there aren't still odd happenings there, which is why it's still talked about. I'm just gonna pop some lipstick on, y'all. The common occurrences in the house, the Alpha Gammas do have a room that's labeled the engagement room. So that also leads me to think maybe this is really Isabel. The girls report hearing voices, a woman crying, seeing a woman peering out of the windows upstairs, the attic window. The faucets turn on and off by themselves. Doors open and close by themselves. They don't like being alone in the house. Also, it's so frequent that there's actually a log that's kept in the house of the comings and goings of Susie, because again, they all think it's someone named Susie when that person doesn't exist. And in 2014, a big overhaul happened in the house, and they tore down a section that had been built on to that was like cinder blocks. It looked like shit. And so they were having it redone, and they were also getting rid of the split level design that was there that separated the new part of the house from the old part of the house. They were having some guest suites put on, more bathrooms. They were taking their capacity up from 50 girls to 72 girls being able to be housed there. Activity really geared up, from what I understand, inside of the house, to the point that some of the girls just wanted to leave. And I mean, isn't that like, I mean, it wasn't for me, but there's a lot of girls out there that it's like their wet dream come true to get into one of these houses, because I mean, maybe that's their only way of making friends. It's like it's a built-in friend circle. I don't know. For me, I could have given two shits about anything like that. Like, I made friends just fine being weird and playing music and making my art and selling my art and singing to random strangers on the square. I mean, like, I'm one of the weirdos. So I like, for me, the whole idea of living with 49 other women in a house makes me want to vomit. Like, I would probably hang myself in the attic, honestly. So, but I know that this is like a big thing for a lot of girls. Like, they do stupid stuff to get into these houses. There's like this rush week and everything. My friends and I used to sit in front of the optometrist's office in lawn chairs with coolers of PBR and watch girls just run from house to house to house during rush. And we lived for the end of the day, like when girls would walk by with their runs in their stockings and their hair messed up and like their shoes in their hands, or they're walking with like one broken heel on one of their shoes. Like, oh, for us weirdos and jerks, it was the ultimate back then. But those are the same girls, though, that they're doing this because it means so much to them. So the idea of something scaring them away, that's kind of wild. I mean, they got to work to get into these places. Plus, you got to have references and shit, right? I mean, I don't know what it takes to get in those places. I mean, I've never known of girls that lived in those houses that were like, I want to leave. They want to be there. They want to be there. They want to be at all the parties. They want to be at all the frat parties. They want to be at all the socials. It's a big deal to them. When this activity like amped up, girls were like wanting to leave because they were scared. And two, you got all like, the other thing because I don't know how real this story is. When I was a kid, I thought, oh my gosh, how romantic. She died because she loved somebody. How awful he left her at the altar. But I do question the validity of the story too, because like, there are 49 other women living in this house. How do you know that your sister didn't come in your room and open your closet door for you? You know, come in there to borrow a shirt or something, and she just didn't want to tell you about it. She forgot to close the closet door. Or how do you know that one of your sisters didn't go in the bathroom before you and was kind of drunk? Because, again, I live in this town. Do you know how many of these girls I see barely walking because they're so tore up? How do you know that one of your sisters didn't go in the bathroom and forget to turn the faucet off? I mean, it's up to you to believe what you want. Because, again, it's about being in love and the tragedy of love. Because, let's face it, there's rarely any happy endings when it comes to love now, are there? Love is tragic and sad. So it plays into that. Plus, since all of this crap started after the house was bought by Alpha Gamma in 1939, it does beg the question, like, is it something that the girls just kind of came up with over the years? The other thing is, if you see her, you're supposed to get engaged within that year. So it makes me wonder, like, was this just made up by a bunch of girls over the years, and then there's like this hive mentality going on that keeps it going? I feel like there has to be some validity to some of it just because, you know, back in 2014, girls were leaving because activity had ramped up and it was actually frightening them. One would think. But I mean, what do you think? Does anybody else know anything about the wedding cake house at all? So if there's some validity to it, I would love to know, but unfortunately, for me personally, and I am a big believer in the paranormal, I don't really give this story a lot of clout. The only thing that fact checks out, the only thing, aside from, like I said, in 2014 when girls were getting spooked, the only fact is that Mr. Thomas had a daughter named Isabel. But every other part of both that urban legend and the legend that followed it, nothing can be proven. There's not one piece of historical evidence that supports the claim. So I like, there's not even record, like, if anyone dying in that house, like dying of suicide in that house. There's no record of it. And considering the house is a historical site that's been listed as one of the state historical sites, like, its history is really easy to look up. So, y'all tell me what you think. You think it's just a bunch of bullshit that some sorority girls made up over the years and then just added to an attitude, and then it became like a part of the hive mind? Yeah, that's the story of the wedding cake house and Isabel Thomas is what I'm gonna say. Because there was no person named Susie Carithers. That was a lie. So if Alpha Gamma is watching right now, you need to change the name of the person that you're attributing all of this to, because that person didn't exist. The more you know. Anyway, so yeah, I wish I had more to talk about with that. I thought I had more to talk about with that because I haven't finished my face. And this is supposed to be me doing my makeup and talking about ghost stories. I guess I'm just gonna throw on some mascara here and call it a day. Huh. So anyway, if you guys have any other stories that you would like me to look into, any other urban legends or ghost stories that you would like me to look into, definitely hit me up. Let me know. I love looking into urban legends of my town. I love looking into urban legends everywhere, because until I started looking into this a little more deeply, because I wanted to talk about it here, I thought it was Susie Carithers. Like, I just knew the story that I'd heard growing up. Susie Carithers killed herself because her fiance was late. Then I found out through reading she didn't exist. I mean, that's kind of a letdown. Like, why are people lying to me? Why are they tricking me? Tell me about some girl, make me feel sorry for her, and it's like, haha, she doesn't exist. You an idiot, Crystal. Right? Why they want to do that? It's not very nice. Or, you know, maybe somebody made it up all those years ago as a joke on our sisters. Isn't that a thing? Yeah, I know I liked to scare my old roommates. And they used to try to scare me. I'm not especially jumpy, but every once in a while they would get me. I mean, could it have just been a prank that's gone too far? Like, I'm just trying to think of any reason why anybody would make something like this up to begin with, like how this gets started. Because, I mean, there are other ghost stories around Athens, most certainly, that after reading into them, I find far more plausible than this one. It just makes me wonder, like, why anybody would make shit like this up. I mean, you're already a sorority. You get enough attention without this. And you live in a gorgeous house. So it's not like they're doing it for the attention. And it's a story that all of us locals that grew up here have grown up with. Yeah, there's certain things you grow up just knowing about. And the birthday cake house or the wedding cake house, that's something we all just know about. So how did it become such a big story too? Because there are legit things that happened on the UGA campus that I'll talk about at some point that are like, that would certainly lead me to be more inclined to believe that they're actually haunted. I mean, there's one in particular, they sealed up an entire floor of a place that used to be in student housing there. And like it was a dormitory. They sealed a whole floor, the university did, because it's fucking haunted. Like, they sealed it off. There's a stairway that leads to nowhere for that floor because they sealed it off. Like, can't get in. And I'll get into that story another time because that one's really interesting. Oh man. Gotta love it when you jack up your eyeliner a little bit. Well, on camera I can't tell so much. Maybe I'm just super anal about my eyeballs on my own, and when I screw up, I don't actually screw up, but I think that I've screwed up. Like, isn't that interesting? Well, oh no, I see it on camera now. Yeah, it's still jacked. I'm gonna do that Amy Winehouse thing where you overcorrect until you end up with like just black eyes. Because I'm classy. I don't even know if I'll post this video. No, I'm thinking about it. Because the story's ended up being kind of lame, hasn't it? It's not my favorite ghost story anymore. What you think about that? Plus, it's hard to talk and put on eyeliner, y'all. And it actually be even. Ooh, check out that blando. But here is today's finished look. I already had all of my face put on except for my eyes, really, because I didn't feel like doing that on camera. And I'm glad that I didn't, since I ran out of the story well before I was done with my makeup. Isn't that cool? But anyway, I hope you enjoyed seeing how I do. Like, this is actually pretty much how I do my makeup every single day. This is my everyday eye. It's just a little bit darker, so it would show up on camera better. But it's seriously, it's my everyday makeup. You just saw it. Super, super simple, right? And please let me know what you think of the Thomas Carithers house and Alpha Gamma's house. Let me know how you feel about the revelation about Susie Carithers not being real. And let me know if you have any stories about that house that you want to share. Like, again, I only had things that were told to me as a kid to go on and things that I found when I was reading that I could go on. So I'm totally down for hearing anything that you guys have. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, because if you do that, then eventually I can monetize these and make a little bit of side money, which would be nice. Let's be real. But like and subscribe and comment. Tell me what you want me to talk about. Tell me, you know, stuff you want me to look into, because I'm totally down. Someone mentioned Goatman to me on Facebook, and I've started looking into that because it is kind of interesting, and I didn't really know anything about Goatman. So eventually I'm going to talk about that. And again, eventually I'm going to talk about some of the UGA ghosts that are around here that I do know about. I'll talk about more personal experiences too. I am talking to a friend of mine about potentially doing a collab with him because we had a joint experience together, and he's a makeup artist. So I'm gonna let him play with my face while we talk about our joint experience, which was crazy. Anyway, so I hope you all have a great day. Happy Spooky Saturday. Unless I upload this on Sunday, then happy Spooky Sunday. And yeah, check you later. Bye, you guys.